Hi, welcome back to my video. It's been a while since my last videos, and recently have been spent some time in improving the program. And the major improvement is in the institution tab and the product options. The institution tab, we made quite a bit of changes, and now it's also integrated with the program. Okay. So today we'll just do a simple demonstration, and without going into the details of the enhancement. Okay. I'll make a different video that focus on the enhancement. Okay. Today I just like to use this program to show how to monitor the status of a few institutions over time. And the way we're going to do it, we're going to use the peer institution of the Indiana University at Bloomington. And we're going to look at their enrollment status over time and see how these peers will they still be peer or they have been deviated from the original purpose. Okay, so let's start with the institution tab. Once you click the institution tab, you'll see a basic tab and major variable, couple of these subtabs. And today we'll basically just use the basic tab and the unit IDs. Okay, let's click on the basic tab. Okay, the important thing for the basic tab is to select the year. And we all know that for the IPEDS, institution can change the sectors over time or can change their name over time. So it is important to specify the year, and then you can set the criteria to select the institution. And as you can see, if an institution changes the sectors, you can see a different list for different years. Okay. And over here, it also gives you underneath, on the lower part of the screen, it also shows you the definition for each one of these variables. For example, for sector 0, it's an administration unit, and for sector 1, it's a public 4-year institutions. Okay, and usually those won't change, but it could. Okay, for different year they could, even though most of the time they won't change. But that's one of the reasons that you need to specify the years when you try to select institutions. Okay, for today, since we already know the unit ID of the institution we're interested in, we're going to just copy and paste those unit ID into the program. Okay. If you want to see what are those institutions, you can simply click the Get Data tab, Get Data buttons. And here you go. These are the institutions. They are the peers of Indiana University at Bloomington. Okay. And you can see through this list, you can see there's UC Berkeley, there's Iowa, University of Iowa, there's University of Kansas, for example. And once you have selected institutions, you can go ahead and select the quantity you are interested in. And in this particular case, we'll be interested in the enrollment, or actually the enrollment of a distance class of those institutions. And as shown by my previous videos, the important thing over here is to look at what the program can do and not how this program doing it. So for now, I just go ahead and type in the search phrase. To retrieve those variables we are interested in. And I'll click the search. Now after I click search, you can see it's list of the variable they found. But you can see they cover the year from 2012 to 2016. Okay, and for our purpose, and also you can see there's a lot of the variables. Okay, and for today, I think we'll just select all of the variables we found, even though if you don't want it, you can use the filter to select a few of them. But today, we'll just select all of them, and we're going to say, okay, make this select all this variable as a final. So let me click on Add to the Picked button. Okay, and once you do that, if you go to the Factors tab, you'll see a table showing summarize your selections. Okay, and the factors, okay, like we talked about in our previous videos, the factor basically add other variables that can further qualify the variable you selected. Okay, and in this particular case, for example, the other factors are unit ID, sector, degree granting, the state of the institution, or also this institution student levels. Okay, also the student level in this particular case. And in order to see what those are, you can click on get the definitions. And again, please refer to my previous video for detail of some of this, because we already covered this in my previous video. And over here, we just concentrate on the variable, the factor for enrollment, distant education, and the level. And we're going to look at just 2013. Okay. So for this particular variables, for enrollment, distant education levels, you can see the possible options are the degree certificate seeking student, the undergraduate total, the graduate student, and the non-degree certificate seeking student, and also all student total. And today, now I'm just selecting the 11 to 3. Okay. And okay. And once you do that, we probably like to. Okay, we like to see the unit ID, and we probably like to see the sectors and the degree granting status, and also probably the institute, the state. Okay, and once we select that, we'll be ready to get the data. Okay, and over here, oh, I think we forgot to select the levels. Okay, let me go back. And again, let's get ready for getting the data. Okay, now let's click get the data. Okay, here you go. So these are the data that we are interested in. And once you get the data, the next thing you like to do is look at the data. And that's where the prod comes in. That's the prod capability comes in. Okay, the first thing you do is you click on the prod options. Okay, and over here, the first thing you do, you can select the x-axis. And in our particular case, we're going to select the years. Okay, and for the S, for the series, we're going to select all the unit IDs. Okay, and for this first try, we'll just go with the level 3. And you remember that the level 3 is basically degree seeking student only. Okay, so that does not include the non-degree seeking student. Okay. So now let's go back to the product options. And the one thing we made changes or made enhancements over here. Now there's two sub-tabs, and one is called basic, one is called advanced. Okay, for most cases, we just need to use the basic. Okay. So over here, we're going to define the thing we would like to see. Okay. And in this particular case, we'll be interested in, let's say, the any online. Okay, and the any online is composed of for enrollment, distance education, some. Those are the students that taking some distance education classes, but not exclusively distance education classes. So we'll add this one with for enrollment, distance education, exclusive. Okay, and that is the student that's taking the distance education only. Okay, so if you add them up, that give you a number that's student that's taking any online classes, and you can know those from your major. Okay, when you select the majors, if you look at the definitions, okay, you can see the sum. Okay, that's filtered. Again, we covered this in our previous videos. We do a 2013. Let's just look at 2013. Okay, just filtered by 2013, and you can see over here the total TOT is all students enrolled, and the sum is student enrolled in some but not all distance education courses. And for the exclusive, are students enrolled exclusively in distance education classes. Okay, so let's go back to the product options. So we defined a variable called any online, and we're going to say add. And we'll also like to have a variable called total, and it will be defined by using the variable TOT. Okay, so we're going to add that one. Okay, and for today's demonstration, I would like to also look at other variables. So let's go back to the major and take a look. I'll be interested in a student that they taking exclusively the online classes, and they are not from the same state of the institutions. So basically, those are the students you can pretty much sure they probably are online students and only from out of state. Okay. So we'll see, okay, in this particular case, since we are dealing with the public institutions, and it probably will be interesting to see how many students from out of state a public institution served. Okay. So in this particular case, we're going to look at the two, exclusive two. Okay, that means it's a student enrolled exclusive distance education course and are located in the U.S. but not in the same state or jurisdictions as the institution. We also like to see the four, exclusive four, that are students enrolled exclusively in the distance education courses and are located outside of the United States. So we'd like to look at those two too. Okay. So let's go back to the product options, and over here we're going to define for enrollment distance education EX2 plus for enrollment distance education exclusive 4. Okay, and we're going to call this variables out of state, okay, and then we're going to create the variables. Okay, and if you use this drop down, you'll see those are the variables we have defined so far. Okay, and you can delete that by click that delete button. And over here, once you have the variable defined, we also like to define the quantities that is going to show on the plot, okay, on the chart. So over here, the first thing we're going to define is the total enrollment. That's basically it's just the variables. So we're going to say just add it. And the second we'll just say the any online. And the latter is going to be just any online. Okay. So that's pretty straightforward. The next thing we're going to add is like what do we have in the previous. It will be out of state. Okay, and that'll just be out of state. Okay. So we're going to just say add. And the next thing we're going to do, we're going to say the percent. Percent out of state. Okay, well, we had to clarify this a little bit. These are the percent of students that taking the exclusive distance education from out of state. Okay, and the total, remember the total include all the students, not just those taking the online. Okay. So we're going to say a percentage of that, and so we're going to divide by the total, and we're going to times 100. Okay, so let's give it a percentage, and we're going to add that. And we also add a percent any online. Okay, and in that case, there'll be variable percent. Variable any online divided by the total and times 100. So we're going to add that. Okay, and once you did this, you can go to the product tab. Oh, sorry. You need to click on calculate all the options. So you click on that, then you go to the product tab. Okay, over here you can see all the things we have. Like that. Okay, so let's look at the total first. Okay, and over here you can see that this is all the institutions, and remember these are the institutions that are the peer institution of the Indiana University at the Bloomington, and I believe this is the University of Indiana University at Bloomington. And remember, this is their peers. And you can see for total enrollment that Indiana University at Bloomington actually have the most students compared to all their peers. Okay. And you probably also noticed that this institution, they started pretty low in the total enrollment, but it's growing very fast. Okay, and if you like to know what that institution is, you just needed to look up the unit ID 228769. So you go back to the institution tab. 2286-8769 is the University of Texas at Arlington. Okay. So again, we go back to the plot. And the enhancement to my program that one thing we can do now is you can actually plot two of them at the same time. So I select the total and also the any online. So you click on the plot, and you'll see basically the one on the top is the total, and also on the bottom is basically the number of students that enrolled in any online classes. Okay. And well, as we all know, total, the head count may not really tell you the good story, and sometimes you'll be interested in the percent. And at this time, well, let me go back a little bit. Maybe you like to look at the out-of-state student. So let's do that by clicking the plot. And you can see those are the out-of-state students and enrolled in distance education. And you can see exclusive on the distance education. And you can see there's one of the institution that's standard out, totally standard out. And that happened to be the University of Texas at Arlington. Okay. And the other thing I would like to see, okay, like we all know, number may not tell you the whole story. Sometimes percentage provide you extra information or more meaningful information. So let's first look at the percentage any online. Okay, you see in this particular case, especially that Bloomington have the most students. So if you just look at the head count, the student enrollment online head count, then the Bloomington will have the advantage, even though only very small percent of their students are enrolled online. So the more meaningful quantity to look at will be the percent. So let's click on the plot. Okay, and you can see the one on the highest is again it's the University of Texas at Arlington, and you can see they have a larger percent of their students enrolled online. Exclusive on, lots of their students are enrolled online, and compared with all the other institutions, that's much lower. And our target institution, the Indiana University at Bloomington is 151351. Okay, 151351. So if you go back to your plot and you look for that, 151351, that's our target institutions. And you can see, compared with the peer institution, they do not have a lot of students enrolled in the online classes. Okay, they have probably the last three. Okay. So that's a percentage of the online students, and we can also look at the percentage of out of state. Okay, if you click on the percentage of out of state, and you do a plot, and again, you can see the University of Texas at Arlington is much higher. Okay, and at this point, you probably like to ask yourself, if these are the peer institutions, is the University of Texas at Arlington still considered a peer of the Indiana University at Bloomington? Okay, so that's what this program can allow you to do, allow you to look at the change of the institution over time. And based on those informations, you can make a better judgment. Okay. And about a few points about the peer institution selections. Okay, we all know that in order to select the peer institution, your purpose is basically like to look at the performance, to compare the performance of the institutions. See if your institutions doing good, bad, or just like normal. And the most very important thing to consider is the I would like to call the restrictions or the constraint of your institutions. Not all institutions have the same constraints. For example, some institution is located at an area with very few populations, and there's no way that institution can grow very fast. On the other hand, an institution can have very few students enrolled. However, they have full potential to grow to a much bigger institution since they are located in a population-dense areas. So the most important thing to consider a peer institution is their constraint. It's not their profile. For example, we are looking at their profile at this moment. But, for example, you have to ask yourself, does the Indiana University at Bloomington have the potential, or do they have a constraint that limited them to get more online students? Or you can also ask, since it's public institutions, when they enrolled a lot of outside of students, is that a good thing? Is that what the best use of the public resources? Okay. And let's put back to, let me just show one more thing. If we look at the total, okay, and you can see there's a lot of lines, and they're probably too busy for you. And if you think that's too busy, one way you can change that is go to the product options and limit your institution selection, limit your series selection to say 5 institutions. Okay, we got 9 institutions, and if we select a 5 institution, that'd be 1/2 of that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And all you need to do is click this button, calculate all points, and then you can go back to plot and replot it. Okay, now you only see 5 institutions with the Indiana University Bloomington as one of them. Okay, this is all I have today. Okay, and I hope you enjoy it. And like I mentioned in my previous videos, personally I got a couple of projects going on at the same time. And if you like what you see, and you like to see the project progress, please leave a comment or send me a personal emails so that I know there are interests out there, and I can put in more time to get the project complete. Okay, thank you. See you next time.